It must have been about 4 or 5 years ago that I spoke to Taryn about her documentary Embrace, which was very successful. And now Taryn is back with her new documentary, Embrace Kids. So welcome to Movie Metropolis, Taryn Brumfitt. Good to talk to you.
Thanks for having me. Nice to see you again.
Good to talk to you. Tell me about the journey that you took from your original documentary, which is all about body issues, etc. From there to the new documentary, Embrace Kids.
Yeah, so Embrace was released in 2016 and it was seen by millions of people around the world in over 190 countries. It had this extraordinary success. We beat Guardians of the Galaxy and King Arthur in Germany, and the film did a whole bunch of things that I don't think any of us expected that it would, but I'm grateful that it did, because it opened up a really important conversation about how people were feeling about their bodies. The number one piece of feedback that I had after people had seen that film was, I wish I had seen it when I was younger. It was just overwhelming, the amount of people that said that. So I knew that we needed to make a film for the younger kids before it was too late. You know, could we prevent our kids experiencing what so many of us have as adults? And that's the why behind Embrace Kids. So it's targeted at 9 to 14-year-olds with a bit of wriggle room either side, but it's definitely a film for families to enjoy together.
Very good. Okay, what an interesting journey. Tell me about fashioning the story for this documentary in terms of all the messages that you wanted to try and get across.
I have to say, this, as a creative, it was the hardest project I've ever worked on, because in storytelling and in documentary in particular, you really want to set up the problem and then you want to go and fix it and you want to feel good. But with body image and this film being targeted for kids, we couldn't show them images of bodies, or we couldn't say, here's the stereotypical body that you see in media and advertising. We couldn't show them that because it would do them damage. So as a director, I've never been more challenged to create a lovely arc and take people on a journey without having that up the front. So I think it pushed me into places that I didn't expect to go. We use dogs as a way around talking and showing bodies, because dogs are a great way to say they come in all shapes and sizes and abilities, and look at them and we don't judge them and we love them the same, just like we all should in terms of human bodies, how we all come in different shapes and sizes. So it was challenging. And I also worked with two teams, the creative team and then a health professional team. So we worked with associate professors from Flinders University and Victoria University, in particular, Dr. Zali Jaeger. And we worked really closely to make sure that the content was safe and effective for kids. But of course, my role as a director and everything that I do is about entertaining. So bringing those two together at times was challenging, but I think we got there in the end.
Oh, certainly you have. And it's not just the body issues that you look at, because I noticed how much you diversified into other issues related to gender issues, etc. What was the impetus behind adding, I suppose, those extra dimensions?
Yeah, I think when we set out, I never anticipated, I sort of thought it would sort of be contained, this film, into body image and that we would have enough to talk about. But what you're referring to here is that we cover off topics like gender stereotyping, disability, representation, inclusion, all inclusion in the media. And I think they all work hand in hand with how we feel about our bodies. You know, they're all interrelated. But I think it was probably surprising that we sort of, we broadened this film out the way that we did. But I'm also really glad that we did, because these are really big subjects that often we don't know how to tackle with kids. We don't know how to bring it up. You know, if I sat down with my 3 kids and sort of said, right, let's talk about gender stereotyping. I think film is the perfect way to see stories, hear stories, and then just, I guess, have those perfect conversations on the way home from the cinema in the car and just kind of unpack them. And I think it's good for our kids to see the role models that are in this film who do such a great job of owning the space that they're in, whatever that space is.
Yes, yes. And that issue of role models is very important, especially for children. So tell me about the children that you have in your documentary and how easy it was to work with them, to talk to them and get their responses.
Well, I mean, you know, the old saying goes, don't work with animals and children. I did both. But here to tell the tale, I have to say the 18 kids that I worked with in the film were all extraordinary. We cast these kids because we wanted to make sure that they were going to be comfortable with cameras and sound and all the crew. At Embrace Kids HQ, there were 18 kids, and I think there was about 23 crew. It was a really big set to work from. And we just sort of put them in this Embrace Kids HQ, and we treated it like, okay, let's unpack this issue. What are you guys thinking? What are you experiencing? Who should we talk to? And we got the kids to drive some of those interviews, which just worked so well. The kids were beautiful. They made me, it sounds a bit cheesy, but they made me want to be a better person. You know, every time I worked with them, they were so articulate. And also they gave me a real sense of hope that, you know, the big problem that we have, which is, you know, in Australia, 77% of Australian school children consider body image to be their number one concern. Like it's a really big issue, but I feel like handing the baton over to this next generation to sort of off you go. I feel like we're in good hands.
Okay, very, very interesting. And of course, also in the documentary, there are a number of other interviews, celebrities, people that you know, etc. Tell me about selecting those and what messages you wanted them to bring to your film.
Yeah, I mean, there was a couple of obvious choices because I knew some of those people already, and we'd had, you know, lengthy conversations about this issue. Celeste Barber being one of them. She's actually an executive producer on the film as well. I think what she has done on social media is a great example of how social media can be a positive space to be in. You know, social media isn't all bad. It just depends on what you're looking at, really. Really grateful for Celeste that helped connect me with Jamila Jamil. For Jamila, it was really, and the way that we positioned her in the film, it's her activist heart that beats very strongly, that we wanted kids to feel, yes, inspired and a little bit educated along the way, sneakily peppered throughout. They wouldn't know it though. But we wanted them to get to the end of the film and then feel empowered to take change. And I don't think there's anyone who could do that better than Jamila Jamil. And then there's lots of other faces as well. Amy Shepherd, who shares her stories from when she was a child, feeling like getting bullied for being in a larger body, and then reflecting back on who she is now and how proud she is. So there's, you know, so many people in this film, and they all hold their own in their own space on all those subjects that I sort of mentioned earlier.
Okay. Again, very well done. So tell me about the editing process, because you've got all these interviews, material and other material, and so on. So the final part of the jigsaw, I suppose, is putting the film together and deciding what stays and what goes.
Well, I worked with David Scarborough, who's an incredible editor, and thank goodness for his experience, because I'm always more. And of course, you can't have that in a film. And we wanted to keep it tight as well. You know, it runs at 79 minutes because we needed to be mindful of our audience. But David did such an incredible job of taking those interviews. And I guess a lot of time was spent on, you know, how much airtime everyone got, what they said. And I think this time around, the biggest challenge in the edit was, unlike Embrace, where I presented into the edit with ridiculous amounts of footage to play with, we filmed this in COVID. So we were, it felt like we were a little bit under in the edit suite in terms of our choices, but we got there in the end, and that really is thanks to David.
Well done again. So tell me now about the way the film is going to be distributed, because I gather it's releasing on the 1st of August.
1st of September, actually.
September, yes.
Yeah, I know. Can you even believe we're talking about August and September? Because it still feels like the start of the year to me. I can't get my head. Someone's going to say Christmas soon. I'm going to lose it. Yeah, so 1st of September, it's going to be in cinemas across Australia. And I've just spoken to Transmission, who are our distributor. They were on the first film as well. We have a great relationship. We opened Embrace in 2016 on 13 screens, and we're opening Embrace Kids on 81. So it's it's amazing, right? You want to open on more screens. It's also like, wow, what's to come? I think it's going to be a really well supported film because it's a really necessary film. And I think my job now is to get into the ears of all the parents to say, I know it's not a Marvel film, but get your kids to the cinema to watch it. Because I actually truly believe that this film will be the most important film that kids will see this year. It's such an important film. Okay. Although, and can I just add to that? Because my 16-year-old boy, he watched the film and he said to me at the end, he goes, oh, well, it's better than I thought it was going to be, which I'm taking as a 5-star review. I don't know about you, but that feels like a 5-star review from a 16-year-old teenager.
Absolutely, yes, I absolutely can take that. And I think you have a book that ties in with the film as well.
Yeah, we knew that once we kind of put this film out into the world that parents would be, right, what do I do now? What is best practice for my family? And so I wrote a companion guide with Dr. Zali Yeager, and it's called Embrace Kids as well. And it's really the how to help your kids embrace their bodies. And we unpack all the issues that are in the film and then some. So they really do work hand in hand. We just want parents to feel supported, and teachers as well, and grandparents, because it's a mighty big issue, this body image. And I guess I'm very grateful that we've moved beyond the hashtag love your body. I think people are really understanding now that young people who appreciate their bodies are more likely to look after them. They're more likely to engage in physical activity. They're less likely to take drugs and drink alcohol. So there's a whole bunch of reasons why we need to get our kids to embrace. And now we have 2 really exceptional resources, I hope I can say that, to help everybody.
Okay, and I can see how the film would also serve an educative function, perhaps to be used in schools and in even politically, etc. So I suppose you'd be looking at ways of enhancing that.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to release a classroom version for schools in 2023. Dr. Zali Yeager and myself and our team of academics and teachers and health professionals have been working on the embracehub.com, and that is a suite of free resources for kids, parents and teachers and sporting coaches that everyone can go there and dynamic evidence-based, science-based resources to help everybody get on the same page, because we want kids to see this film in schools, but we want them to go home and have parents speaking the same language too. So we're all, we're all on the same sort of team looking at this issue. Okay, very good. So Taryn, I'm quite intrigued. Are you looking perhaps at now doing a follow-up 3rd film, perhaps for other audiences? I am. It's behind this piece of art. There's 3 whiteboards behind there sneakily. And I've been sort of in research and development for Embrace Men. So that'll finish off the trilogy. I've been sort of spending 5%, I think, of my time just every day plotting away that one. And it also wakes me at 3 a.m. as well, with those sort of ideas. So yeah, there's a trilogy of films, and then who knows where to from there, but I'm looking forward to diving into that next one as well. Very good indeed. Yeah, you're cornering a market, which I think is a very important one in terms of image and positivity and so on. So congratulations on that. We've been speaking to Taryn Brumfitt, who's the director of Embrace Kids, releasing 1st of September in cinemas across Australia. Taryn, thanks so much for talking with me. Thanks for having me. Bye-bye. Thank you. See you later.